And I think on the panel I mentioned that the Generation Y, which is
Generation Y. Thank you for bringing that up, because I was like, I said to my new friend, I was like, Barry's Gen Y.
Yeah. So the 18 to 28-year-olds are thinking and interacting in ways that are completely new.
Right.
And are not the ways of the old guard. And the old guard just has to keep up.
Yeah, you know what, I was having
a struggle.
Yeah, a fantasy of Anakata, the Gottfried Svartholm of Pirate Bay, showing up to say, the anti-copyright mafia is not going away. And then I've got my Hollywood friends saying, like, do you know what copyright law is, or like how it works? And then my favorite blog is called Copyright out of Sweden.
Copyright?
Riot.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, what is it? It's like a state of consciousness or mind or collective consciousness, and it's crumbling.
Yes.
So then to hear about this like monetization, and then I think what Barry said really touched me about, like, go back to what about art? Like, what about doing something for the integrity of the project, or because it's something meaningful or beautiful? And that's where I think like money versus art, or like art for art's sake.
Right. Well, and I think that it, at its very heart and core, the art of something and the storytelling of a movie, that is, it has to be strong and it has to be good, and all this new technology and new media has to support it.
Yeah, right. You know? Which then, I think at some point he was like, it's like robots killing each other. That's like the new trope. And it's like, at what point, well, we've got Collateral Murder. Like, how is Hollywood going to stay relevant if we are the top of the mountain? We do have the biggest megaphone. Or will we be surpassed by Bollywood and China and whatever, or Sweden or whoever? Like, or it's more a globalization of what used to be a Hollywood monopoly.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, or like opening the perspective up.
Have you been to Sweden?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it was rad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met the spokesperson for the Pirate Party. He was at a conference called Roar Inte min laka, which means like, don't touch my leak. But it was like referencing an anti-racist campaign in the 80s in Sweden that was Roar Inte min kompis, which means don't touch my friend, about racism in Sweden. So it was just kind of like, don't touch, it was like dealing with issues of internet freedom and really exciting stuff. Yeah, like but I mean, it's still, my latest heartbreak is the Hustler feed $50,000 into WikiLeaks. And then I'm like, okay, Larry Flynt is a known homophobe. This is pissing me off. Okay, we're going to have our Bradley Manning March in June here in Hollywood, and like, who's going to tap into that? Or like, can we think of some better fundraising ideas besides porn? And at which point, like, women's place in a all-male panel or whatever? It's like, where do women belong as filmmakers or musicians or whatever?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because on that panel, I didn't even think there isn't a woman on this panel.
I know that, and furthermore, it's not an issue, right?
But what's cool is that Susan organized the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, I know. And then it's like, she's mother of us all. Yeah, right.
So great.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, at its core, there was the woman was there.
Yeah, right.
But there weren't female faces.
Well, I think that's where I want to work on women in the music industry and women in film as like a project idea, like a very marketable project idea. Like, we're tired of NSYNC and boy bands only, like 5 boy bands later.
Those aren't even real bands. Those are concocted casting auditions.
Right,
music,
exactly. And we need more Sofia Coppola's or like Courtney Stevens.
Oh,
yeah,
I
like
completely adore.
Yeah, and just get it going and like empower, like Rock and Roll Camp for girls, but having the same thing for cinema. Like, get women involved, get them little camps, get them involved with their reality.
And they are getting involved.
Yeah.
And I have friends far and wide, female, who are getting involved.
Totally.
And yeah, everybody should.
It's hot.
And if you don't get involved, that's fine too.
Oh, can I tell you a little?
I just think join us if you want.
There's a controversial PR firm in Sweden called Studio Total, and they had a party for filmmakers. They gave 1,000 kronor, which maybe is like a few $100s, to every woman in the room to protest male domination of Swedish film industry. And they're like sort of controversial in the way they operate. But at that point, my friend who's a filmmaker in Sweden, he comes out and he's like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. They're drawing, because these are his colleagues, and he doesn't like them being pushed out of the dialogue.
Very progressive.
It is in some ways, but they've got controlled media too. So that's where Hollywood comes in. I think we need to like film in some ways. It's like a fusion. It's a nice fusion. It's like Chinese Cuban cuisine. fusiony.
That sounds yummy.
Yeah. Yay. Okay, so what's your name again? Say again.
Zach Gruber.
Zach Gruber.
X-A-Q-U-E. Zach. G-R-U-B-E-R.
Gruber. What does Gruber mean?
In German, it means one who digs.
Awesome.
Like a person who digs into the ground.
Awesome.
I guess my ancestors were digging for something.
Awesome.
Maybe they were digging graves or ditches.
Yeah.
Just, gardening. I don't know.